Yeah, what's up, guys? This is the Gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. And guys, I saw this story back last week, but I really didn't have a chance to talk about it. But I do want to bring this up because it's not like it's pressing news or anything, but what it is, it's a reminder of the excellence and the greatness of this Star Wars thing that we all love so much. And part of what makes it great is the fact that it touches lives everywhere throughout every generation, and you never know what it's going to inspire or how it's going to inspire people. And I just want to remind people of that, because these days it seems like the only thing that Disney thinks that Star Wars is capable of is opening up the doors to different races and genders and sexualities and things like that, forgetting that there is a science in science fiction and science fantasy, and how it might actually enhance the world that we live in, you know, and leave a very, very rich legacy. So this article here was in the independent.co.uk, and I want to share it with you guys because it's dope. So check it out. It says, robotic arm named after Luke Skywalker enables an amputee to touch and feel again. That's right, a robotic arm named after Luke Skywalker, not Jake, enables amputee to touch and feel again. Recipient Kevin Walgamat says he was almost brought to tears by the amazing new technology. This is by Mark Waghorn. And it goes on to say, a robotic arm, which is controlled by thoughts, has enabled an amputee to touch and feel again. Like, that's freaking crazy. It's like the robotic arm is controlled by the power of thoughts to be able to touch and feel again. It is so sensitive that recipient Kevin Walgamat plucked grapes without crushing them, peeled a banana, and was even able to send text messages. The estate agent could also pick up an egg without breaking it, and he could hold his wife's hand and put on his wedding ring. Freaking awesome. Very, very sweet. Very sweet. The motorized device has been named Luke, after the prosthetic arm used by Star Wars character Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. Study leader Professor Gregory Clark, a biomedical engineer at the University of Utah, said one of the first things he wanted to do was put on his wedding ring. That's hard to do with one hand. Yeah, and it was very moving. Let's see here. Mr. Walgamat also successfully performed several tasks, including some he had previously found difficult, such as putting a pillow in a pillowcase. The prosthetic hand and fingers are controlled by electrodes implanted in the patient's muscles. A portable prototype developed by the University of Utah team is connected to a computer on the wearer's belt, providing complete freedom to use it anywhere. Mr. Walgamat, who is from Utah, said when he shook his wife by the hand, the sensation in the fingers was similar to that of an able-bodied person. The touch, or the sense of touch, apparently means users can distinguish between different surfaces. This is because they feel objects via sensors in the hand that feed impulses to the nerves in his arm. After using the Luke arm for the first time, Mr. Walgamat said, "It almost put me to tears. It was really amazing. I never thought I would be able to feel in that hand again." Now it goes on to say he's one of 7 test subjects and lost his left hand and part of the arm in an electrical accident in 2002. He's one of 1.6 million amputees in the U.S., among whom depression and anxiety are common. Of course, as always, I'm going to leave the full article in the description box, and go on and check it out. It's pretty cool. But for now, I just want to say to all of the amputees who might be out there, who might actually come across this video, I gotta say this because it always surprises me, the people that my videos reach. You know, sometimes I get in the comment section and literally, you want to talk about melting minds, Kevin Smith? Literally, my mind will melt when I deal with real people who have had real life experiences, who actually got something out of my ramblings, you know what I mean? And along those lines, man, keeping that in mind, if there's anybody out there who is an amputee and, you know, you suffer from depression or anxiety, don't lose hope, because one of the things that you see in this article here is that technology is always moving forward, you know what I mean? And when you have something like Star Wars, as many people who out there who like to put it down and make fun of man babies and you know, fanboys, it's these very same man babies and fanboys who feel this thing so much that they're inspired to actually wonder You know, they're actually inspired to have hope that they can change the human condition based upon some of the things that they see in Star Wars and certainly Star Trek and so many of the things that we geeks, you know, like to get into and watch. You know, there's really something to be said for that. So if you do find yourself you know, going through something like that, you know, amputee or, you know, suffering from depression or anxiety, just remember, there is always hope. Always. You know, and this is the reason why Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, this is the reason why it's so important to protect legacy. You know what I mean? This is why it was so reckless of Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, and Rian Johnson to write Jake Skywalker the way they did, you know, throwing away his lightsaber, you know, being beaten, telling people to go away, and closing himself up from the Force. It's like, this is not what Luke is. This is not how the Force works. A Jedi never gives up. And those of us who grew up with Star Wars or, you know, discovered it and just love it, we know this. So we have to cry foul when we hear it, because the implications of having a quitter, loser-ass Luke Skywalker, it could have all types of negative effects on society. Every society needs its heroes. Every society needs its inspiration. You know what I mean? And that's what Star Wars has always been. You know, you don't go to a Star Wars movie to wrestle with themes of, you know, of disillusionment and giving up to the point where your main character or your legacy character is just about fucking useless. That's not the way it works, guys. You know, so I wanted to put that out there, because for them to name this technology after Luke just shows me that somewhere in this process you have a true Star Wars fan. And this person, you know, might have had to go through all types of ridicule and, you know, people making fun of them and things like that, or her, you know, but they turned it around, man. It's like they turned it into a positive, and now somebody's life has been enhanced, and other people might be enhanced, you know? So it's like you just never lose hope, and that's the beautiful thing about the first one, the very first Star Wars being called A New Hope. You know, I can't stop talking about that. George Lucas is a freaking poet, and he don't even know it, you know? Because hope is what we have to hold on to. I talked about this before. Hope and innocence can change the world. If you don't let people like the Rian Johnsons of the world and the Kathleen Kennedys, who talk about how innocence is a thing of the past, they don't get it, man. And this is the reason why Star Wars is failing. But I just wanted to point this out there. I wanted to point this out because here you have this man, you know, who's able to hold his wife again, who's able to put on his wedding ring again. You know, and you had the story of the young lady who, she was an amputee as well, but she had it replaced with a lightsaber. You know what I mean? You have so many people whose lives are being changed by this thing, you know, who hold on to it and get so much inspiration from it. And this is our modern day legend. This is mythology. These things should not be fucked with. They should not be messed with for the enjoyment of some so-called director who's on some type of ego trip with delusions of grandeur. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out, guys, and I wanted to make my point by showing you that story, you know, because I just think that it's awesome, you know, when you see science fiction and science fantasy come to life. You know, it makes me wonder, assuming that we're not living in the last days, what's it going to be like later on, you know what I mean? And the kids who are coming up now, they're going to get bit by that same bug where they imagine, you know, is it possible? You know, is it possible to do these things? And you'd just be surprised, man. You'd be so surprised. And that's the defining quality of the original trilogy and the prequels. You know, there were so many things that we saw in the original trilogy and the prequels that we never saw before in our lives. You know, but this new NyQuil trilogy, it's like, what are they inspiring? You know, besides maybe a prosthetic brain. They could call that the Rian Johnson. But anyway, guys, what do you think about that? You know, how are you feeling about that? I mean, Star Wars is just, it's a beautiful thing, man. So, you know, I just wanted to give you that, you know, that little warm, fuzzy, feel-good type of story right here, right now. And you can get at me in the comment section. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe. And of course, when you subscribe, you can hit that notification bell, since YouTube just loves to take my subscribers away. It's like YouTube give it and YouTube take it away. But that's okay, because we're still here, and that's what's important. Guys, you can check me out on Twitter. As always, I will be there, and I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.